1. The dollar's reign. In every major deal, every oil trade, every reserve vault, there's one king, the US dollar. It decides the price of everything from smartphones to soybeans. But today, that dominance is no longer guaranteed. Because China is building a quiet financial revolution. And the goal is clear, to challenge the dollar without firing a single shot. 2. The power of the dollar. For nearly 80 years, the US dollar has been the global reserve currency. It's the money everyone wants to be paid in. 60% of the world's foreign reserves are held in dollars. Nearly 90% of global trade uses it in some form. This gave the US more than just buying power. It gave them leverage. If the US wants to punish a country financially, like freezing assets or blocking payments, it can. That's what China fears, because economic power is geopolitical power. But instead of protesting it, China is building something new. 3. China's first move, CIPS. Let's go back to 2015. That's when China launched the CIPS system, an alternative to SWIFT. At first, no one noticed. It was just a backup, used mostly by local banks. In 2023, CIPS handled over $67 billion a day in transactions. It was connected to about 1,427 financial institutions across 109 countries and regions. And it's growing fast. This isn't about cutting off the West. It's about creating options, so that, if needed, China and its allies don't have to rely on US systems to move money. 4. Weaponizing the Yuan. But China's real weapon? It's not a bank, it's not a law, it's a currency. The renminbi, or yuan, was once a closed-off currency, controlled tightly, barely used outside China. Today, it's being injected into global trade like never before. In the last 12 months alone, over 30 countries have started accepting Chinese yuan for bilateral trade. Currency swap deals with partners like Brazil, Russia, and the UAE now total 4.3 trillion yuan. That's around $590 billion. In some regions, the yuan has replaced the euro as the second most traded currency behind the dollar. But China isn't trying to dominate, it's trying to diversify the system. So no one country, especially not the US, holds all the cards. 5. The digital front, e-CNY. Now here's the twist. While the West debates crypto and regulation, China has already launched its own digital currency. The e-CNY, or digital yuan, is not just in pilot phase. It's being used in real stores, real cities, real salaries. As of mid-2025, over $988 billion worth of transactions have been processed. That includes government subsidies, metro payments, and even B2B payments. And because it's built by the central bank, not private companies, it gives China unmatched control over its monetary system. No banks, no Visa, no SWIFT, just China, moving money directly. That's not just innovation, that's insulation, a financial firewall. 6. Businesses are betting on it. But wait, it doesn't stop at infrastructure. In the first half of 2025, Chinese exporters made a bold move. They sold a record $132.5 billion in dollar-yuan currency options. That's not speculation, that's protection. It means Chinese firms are now hedging their exposure to the dollar, proactively managing risk. Why? Because the yuan, despite being under pressure, gained 1.9% this year in the middle of global uncertainty. And these businesses, they trust their own system more than ever before. 7. Global trade is shifting. Meanwhile, something major is shifting in global trade. Look at Russia. Today, 53% of Russian trade is done in Chinese yuan, not dollars. Saudi Arabia is considering accepting yuan for oil. Brazil has already started settling agricultural exports in renminbi. And in Southeast Asia, more and more cross-border trade is moving toward local currency agreements, because stability now means independence from one dominant player. 8. Not a replacement, a new option. So what's really happening here? Let's be clear, this is not a sudden attack on the US dollar. China knows that replacing the dollar entirely would collapse the system it also depends on. Instead, it's carving out a parallel path. It's building systems, relationships, currencies, and infrastructure that create choice. A future where trade doesn't have to go through Washington, where sanctions can't stop entire economies, and where the dollar is just one of many options. 9. Final thought. The silent shift. The question isn't will the yuan replace the dollar? It's what happens when the world no longer needs only the dollar. That shift, slow, strategic, and silent, is already happening. And China's not knocking on the door. It's building its own door. Call to action. What do you think? Is this the beginning of a new global financial order? Will the dollar stay dominant or just become one of many? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more deep dives on Asia's financial power moves, subscribe now. This is Business Apac, and we don't just report what's happening, we explain what it means.